Well, hello folks, this is Bill at Bill-Reddoch Outdoors. I'm trying to get ready for deer season. I got soaking wet. Gotta have a little diesel fuel for the tractor. If one jug of fuel is good, two is gooder. Now I gotta get a hat so we won't get no sunburn. That's what I'm talking about. The weeds have grown up around the deer camp, but we're gonna do something about that. And you wouldn't know. Today I decided to do a little work. Hadn't rained in 2 months. And even though I got caught in the rain and got sopping wet, I do have to admit, when you drive into the deer camp, it does look a little bit better than it did before I started. Even though I got rained out one day, there's a lot more days of work that's got to be done, so I'm sure there'll be some days that ain't raining where we can go tend to the rest of it. It's something. You give Mother Nature a year, and all kind of things will start growing and getting out of control. But we're gonna bush hog this place right here, break the ground up, and plant some food for the deer. We got a long ways to go, but we're gonna get her done. Of course, anytime that you're doing work like this, there's always little obstacles that happen. We busted the seal out on the hydraulic cylinder, so we had to offload the front end loader, and we're going to take this thing in right here and get her patched up so she'll be ready to go again. We've been taking the last couple of days and turning this right here into this. We got a few piles to burn. But it was actually pretty cool. This burning process went way on into the night. Matthew describes hell as a place of darkness. Revelation describes hell as a place of fire. Some people say you can't have both at the same time. Of course, the next day the grandkids showed up and said they wanted to help out. They thought they would till the ground up with them knobby tires on the four-wheeler and this little dirt bike. They had a blast helping us. Now you folks know how I always say whether you at work or play, it's not always playtime. The grandkids did get involved in some of the work time. They took the seed spreader and went around and sowed the seed in our food plots. More problems than a math book. Now we got a flat tire on the tractor. We're gonna try to fix it the old-fashioned way. When you hadn't got a tire tool, what you do is find your little board, put it down right at the edge of that rim, and then back your truck tire right up here, and then we'll pop that thing off. It'd be nice if I had a longer board, but I don't know what happened to my tire breaking board. But that short one worked just fine. And before you start, all I had was a black marker. But wherever your valve stem's coming out, put your mark on this tire. I don't know if you can see it. And that way, when you do find your hole, say your hole's over here, you can line that stem up with your mark, and you can look inside that tire right over here and see if there's a nail or a thorn or something poking through. When you're doing this kind of stuff the old-fashioned way, you have to really be careful. You need a couple of screwdrivers or some other tool kind of like that. But you have to really be careful not to get that inner tube in there. And always see where your valve stem is and take that side of the tire off first. Let's see how you stick that down there, but don't get that tube. This is a tricky part. It'll slip off right there on you every time if you're not far enough.
If you're far enough, you get the tube.
But if you're far enough, you usually get the tube. There it goes. You seen how it slid up on that screwdriver? Now, you have to keep that screwdriver in there to hold that. I'm give out watching Cody do it. Take another screwdriver and move over just a little bit at a time. Just a little bit. See it come up. Now move just an inch or so. Pull a little more up. Now something else that might help you out once you get started. We're gonna put that little screwdriver in there and swap it in place of that big one. Because all it needs to do is hold that tire up. Now we can use that big one to leverage with over here is the plan. Once you get so far, it gets a little bit easier. Once you get it so close, you just pull it off. Look at there. Now you poke your tube, your valve stem tube back through the hole and pull your tube out. One thing I forgot to mention, always take the valve core out of that stem so the air will go out and it won't be puffed up and getting in a bind on you. Now we're just gonna put the valve core back in. See if we can find a leak. Okay, you see it? There it is, bubbling right there. Look at that. There she is. Now all we need is a tire patch. You think it's gonna be another trip to town, or reckon I got one around here? I think I put, look at that. Ain't my first rodeo. Now the next step in these tire kits, they give you a little thing like that right there. You're supposed to rough up that spot on that inner tube a little bit bigger than your patch. I got another type of inner tube rougher upper right here. Works a lot easier than that little bitty thing they send in the kit. Take your valve core back out, squeeze the air out of it. Then they give you this glue in here, give you a puncture thing on the cap. But the hole is right here. So we're gonna try to put plenty of glue on it. Smear some around. And it says try not to touch it. But I hadn't figured out how to smear that glue around without touching it. So I wipe my finger off real good. Smear that glue around. Now the instructions say let it dry. I hope that glue is dry enough. Now you got to peel this backing off of this patch and try not to touch that patch with your fingers. That's what's really critical, in my opinion. Get that thing started. Now, one of the most important things is putting this patch on top of the hole. Wish me luck. Right there. And then I got a specialty tool. Go in your socket set, find your socket. Let me get my better hand and put it back and forth and roll that thing on there. Now, I don't know why, but the instructions say there's a little clear plastic looking piece on the top of this patch. They say to pull it off. I can't get a hold of the thing. Like I say, why, I don't know. But there it is. And then they say your patch job is complete. A smart man would put the valve core back in this tube, put a little air in it, and check it again to make sure there wasn't another hole. But I ain't never claimed to be smart. I'm fixing to put it back in the tire and get back to work. Another very important thing, this tube has got a certain way it's supposed to go. And if you'll lay it out, you can kind of see that valve stem is sticking up. If you got it this way, that valve stem sticking down, that'll tell you that's wrong. It needs to go like this, so that valve stem can go through that hole on the upper side of that rim. Now, if you'll pull this tire over toward your valve stem, it makes it a whole lot easier to put it up through the hole. And if you got one of these little jewels right here, just screw it on top of that. That way it won't slip back down in the hole while you're putting your tire back on the rim. Now, the other thing is, you do not want to start your tire on this side where the valve stem is, because it's going to pull down and it might tear that valve stem out of the tube. So always start on the opposite side over here and let this part be last to go on. Put your knees on the tire to hold it down. A little screwdriver works better for me. Put it in and get right on that rim and ease her down. And as you do, move your knee around to hold that tire down. Try not to pinch that tube. I like to work from side to side. And if it's too hard, you're generally getting too much of a bite. Now move your knee up. Hold it down. Get your little pinch. We're getting pretty close. There she is. Back in business. And always remember, folks, whether you at work or play, I hope you have a nice day. This is Bill-Reddoch Outdoors. See y'all.